this is such a dumb thing there is on the sequels. Why the Republic simply said, hey, okay, let's get rid of the army.
I honestly don't know. Anyway, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 355. Why demilitarization is a good idea for the New Republic. This is a odd video, a little different than what we usually go over, because we go over crazy videos or silly videos or just weird premises that don't make sense. And in this one, this is Generation Tech talking about, because they talk about Star Wars a lot or just sci-fi stuff in general. And he's trying to explain, I suppose, the theoretical example of the Republic no longer being militaristic. And I don't know if that's during the Republic era or during the Empire era. I got a little confused.
I would assume it's after the OT.
This is the sequel era.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, post-Empire.
All right. Because I was like, where are his references? Is he reading books? I don't see any.
No.
Probably books,
It's probably mainly the claim of the whole of the what was that stupid movie called? Force Awakens. And I had to somehow justify, why is there another rebel force, even though they renamed it, and why is there still an empire, and why are there still empire forces?
Right.
Because the Republic won, the rebels won and destroyed the empire. Why is this the case? And the explanation of Disney was, oh well, after the emperor was killed, which is that doesn't mean that the empire is beaten. That's just after the emperor was killed. The Republic worlds decided to demilitarize, because the threat is gone, apparently, which is absolutely nonsensical, because the Empire is galaxy spanning and isn't just gone just because their head of state is gone. It's idiotic.
Well, the concept...
And even if we ignore however flimsy this was set up in regards to succession, every empire in history, when it breaks, there is a war over the remnant pieces. The Genghis Khan thing with his sons. Genghis Khan,
Kublai Khan with
Kublai Khan and the other guy. And
the other guy was the Golden Horde. I don't know the other two.
Yeah, but Genghis Khan's empire fell apart into these three big warring states, and that doesn't mean that, and that happens all the time. Chinese history is full of this. Just because you've killed the it's just, I'm sorry, I'm not entirely accurate here. I just want to get at this core problem here, that just because your little band of rebels killed the current emperor doesn't mean that you in your little Gaelic Gaul village, your little Asterix village, can now destroy all your weapons and demilitarize. Because if you do, the remnants of that empire will just gobble you up.
Was that the...
Because you're no threat anymore.
Other forces will gobble you up.
Was that a reference to the Asterix comic, or are you talking about just...
Yeah, it was
a reference to the Asterix.
Ah, wonderful.
I was going to bring the Alexander Empire, because that one broke in 4 states too: Macedon, Egypt, Seleucid Empire, and the Antigone Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there is some understanding of what happens when an empire breaks down into a different form of politics or different style of government. And this is in historical examples. We have why this happens. But he's going to imply his logic to this. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I was just sort of listening and going, okay, fine. Like, I'm not seeing a huge issue. But
he's the same guy. He made a video on Warhammer. That we saw it. It was, okay, dude, no, you don't know anything about Warhammer. You will say that living in Warhammer world, it's not that bad. Even though
what was his claim about Warhammer?
That living in the Warhammer world isn't that bad.
No. Maybe if you live on a pleasure world, maybe.
No, not even in a pleasure world, because even if you die, you can still be dead, because chaos entities can kidnap you and torture you, or some chaos demon eat your soul in the afterlife.
That's a point.
Yeah. Okay, so this is not a long video. It came out last year, I believe. December, was it? Let me check. Yes.
Yay, less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, less than 10 minutes, 30,000 views. This is a big channel. If you guys know, Generation Tech, like about 650,000 subs, so they've been around for a while. And they talk a lot of sci-fi stuff, as I mentioned before. So I did not see a huge problem, but then again, I don't know where he's coming from. And this is all theoretical. So you could
8 minutes 50 seconds. It's
9 minutes.
I guess we can do this.
Yeah, it's not going to take too long. But if you guys see any glaring errors, be sure to pause the video, because I'm like, all right, sure, demilitarization, sure, why not?
At one point, I did read like some of like the backstory material for like the sequel trilogy, but it is really autistic. I'm even going that far. It's really bad.
Oh yeah.
You don't need to read the side material, or not even be a big brain military guy, because why the new hegemony of the galaxy would simply say, okay, we don't need an army again, we don't need to protect ourselves.
Oh, it's even worse. It's even worse because like I read upon it, like party in the Senate, they confiscated all the rights that Leia had over the Republic because they found out that Darth Vader was her father. So they pointed out that like, hey, like this, the daughter of Darth Vader shouldn't be leading the Republic. So that's why they had like the splinter faction, the Resistance. But it's kind of retarded that, because then it's connected that the accusations were coming from like ex-Empire people, because the Empire, like the remnants of that, were still in the Senate. So it's kind of like you destroyed the Nazis and they are still having like a word in the European Union or something.
Oh, you mean like in the UN?
Yes, in the UN. Yes, pretty much.
They even confiscated the guns from the Empire and the Republic.
Yes.
They had like one final battle on Jakku. Was supposedly the significance of that planet. That was like where they defeated the Empire. But
they have
like
of
some of like the nations that like not nations, but like planets that like were still in the Empire refused to like fully integrate to the Republic. So they were just like in the Senate, but you pretty much knew that like they are the bad guys. So demilitarization is even more retarded because of that.
Yeah, nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. The whole demilitarization argument or plot point, I think, only was made up by mistake in order to somehow justify how the nonsense that J.J. Abrams wrote in the title scroll.
How can I make stakes? That was probably like in his mind, because there's like
he's
no
so uncreative.
No way this can make any sense.
And it's so uncreative. He's so uncreative that he can only copy older movies. He can't even properly steal from the expanded universe. Because there's so many stories there. The expanded universe is autistic.
Visuals to us.
Yeah, you can say the expanded universe is autistic. But the Disney sequel stuff, that's retarded.
Expanded universe is more like a mixed bag, really.
I know.
From what I saw on the expanded universe, the Republic becomes the new enemy because of the use of Vogue invasion.
Yes, but about the expanded universe, I just want to say, yeah, there's a lot. There are contradictory things in there because tons of writers wrote whatever they liked. But you could make a very good canonical timeline if you pick and choose well from the expanded universe.
What's that? Comic book lore is inconsistent. Meanwhile, the sky is blue.
Yeah, I just mean, I mean, you could build something good from it.
No, that I want.
But I didn't even try that.
All right. Anyway, let's get going. This won't take too long, hopefully. But I want to see where he gets his lore from, because I was a bit sort of not doing anything with the video. I was just listening and going, okay, sure. So here's Vladimir Dragunov. Thank you. Because demilitarizing is clearly worked out for them. Yeah, well, movie had to happen.
Also, I find funny that the Republic works only on 5 planets.
Well, we don't know. We really, really don't know. There was no explanation.
In TFA, they show the Republic be exploded, and there is 5 planets being destroyed. And after that, they never talk about it. So you can safely assume the Republic was destroyed.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, from a shooting across the galaxy in an instant.
Yeah, that's JJ wanting to do visuals to make them look pretty, not actually make sense
have
of
you
logic.
seen?
And it was
Have you seen a map of the Star Wars galaxy, where Ilum where they built this Starkiller base is, and where the Republic planets are that were shot? It's right across the galaxy. The galaxy. It's not a few systems away. It's the galaxy. Like even a hyperspace jump through that takes, I have no idea, weeks.
It is, hyperspace is significantly faster than our understanding of light speed. We just don't know how fast. We don't know the actual numbers. The movies never taught us. They never go into detail. It's always some obscure.
Yeah, that means this thing is shooting through hyperspace somehow.
I think it is hours. Something like doing a plane
The thing
flight.
the thing with hyperspace is there's these actual subspace. I wouldn't say rivers, but like pathways, like roadways that are safe to travel through because they're dangerous for small ships. I don't know how that applies to planet-sized objects. In fact, I don't think it makes any sense. But space is big.
It isn't the planet. It isn't the planet of Ilum or Starkiller Base moving. It's just shooting.
Well, they have
across the galaxy.
They have to get within range somehow, right? They have to get close.
Yeah, the range is it shoots, and then somehow the beam is at the other end of the galaxy.
Oh, really? Okay, I thought you meant the thing had to travel close to the 5 planets, and that was.
No, the planet didn't travel. Okay. Ilum is still in the same place.
You just need to imagine like a pinball machine. Like it just like bounces off like points.
The Star Wars
pinball. It just ends up being very deadly. Like
furthermore, imagine Starkiller Base eats the sun in the system it's in. So basically, it's one shot. It's one shot. You build the whole base for one shot. Then you shoot that thing, that one beam, across the galaxy, and somehow it's at the target within minutes, and you across the galaxy, and the galaxy is moving, by the way. A galaxy is in constant movement. It's rotating, and not every system is rotating at the same speed. So you shoot across the galaxy at moving targets with one beam that then manages to accurately hit 5 planet-sized targets, which is across that distance smaller than a molecule.
Always lens flares and visuals. Don't you see the mystery box?
Is it?
See, if we were to
as much as I could accept from that movie, and at first watch, that scene was like, that doesn't work. That doesn't make sense.
That's the thing with Star Wars. We sort of go, okay, this is not to be taken literally because it's
but suspension of disbelief can only so far before breaking.
It would help if there was a bit more explanation and exposition.
Yeah, we can.
The problem
we can accept laser swords.
Right, exactly.
That's lightsabers. We can accept that as a thing, as the magical technology of this place. But this shooting across the galaxy, and it's not even explained it's not well established through the scenes what is actually happening when Starkiller Base is shooting.
There is really different because the Starkiller needs to kill a star to shoot its beams. So I don't know how
absorb stun, yes.
I don't know how it's going to shoot again.
Nothing about that thing makes sense.
It is a one-shot weapon because you can't use it again because you just killed the star that use it to use it to illuminate the planet that you build the weapon.
I don't think we're supposed to go in with a understanding of basic physics. Like, we're just there for the spectacle because it is soft.
No. Basic physics, yes.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
Internal movie magic, sci-fi, science fantasy stuff, also okay. But it has a limit of what your mind will accept.
Okay.
If you have more than 3 neurons.
Even for the Star Wars standards, circular base doesn't make any sense at all because you can only use one time. And you use
strategically, it makes no sense.
And you use it to destroy 5 planets that killed the entire Republic.
Yeah, strategically, it makes no sense. The way it is used makes no sense. The effect makes no sense. Nothing about this thing makes sense, and that is simply too much. It's too much. It's so much suspension of disbelief that the suspension rips apart this whatever the metaphor is suspending here.
Well, I mean,
the disbelief.
You could say the same thing about a laser blowing up a planet in the original Star Wars. Like, how does that make sense?
No, but for Starkiller Base, they just one shot. You'd say one shot weapon. It is because you can't move the planet. The Death Star. At least you can move it.
Yeah, it has hyperspace capabilities, and with that is we can at least we can comprehend. Oh, we have this planet-destroying weapon. We shoot at the planet, and it goes boom. Okay, also old special effects, but Starkiller Base pushes this to not just to 11, but to 111. With eat a star, shoot, not knowing what distance is even it even goes over because that's left out in the movie, and then it hits 5 planets simultaneously.
Yeah,
with its one shot that somehow magically splits off and hits 5 planets at the same time, and the people on the ground can see that.
Yeah, okay. Let's just stop. Let's just stop.
This for a day.
It's movie magic fun stuff, okay? Yeah. That's all it is. If you take this seriously and think about it, you're going to hurt yourself. And you could do that for everything.
Yeah, but there are limits. There are limits to this.
Not everyone
within
thinks
the limits,
like you.
can.
Wisp,
it isn't within the There are limits within it is enjoyable, and beyond those limits, it is just bullshit.
It has always been that way.
There's no argument.
I argue that Starkiller Base is really dumb. But let's go on with the video.
Please, let's start the video. Okay.
If you can't find where a limit of bullshit is, then you will not be able to write a good story. Sorry.
Also, a quick side note that has nothing to do with this. I literally just remembered. Someone mentioned like what was it, Genghis Khan earlier?
Genghis Khan.
Yeah. I literally just remembered that in the Assassin's Creed universe, Genghis Khan is a Templar.
What?
How?
Not only is Genghis Khan a Templar, but it was also during Altair's time as an assassin.
He should be a pimp.
He's a Templar.
Where does Genghis Khan have time for that? He's fucking all day.
He's not even a Christian. How the heck is a Templar?
He was the least responsible Templar of his time. But yeah, he was a Templar.
That's why I don't like Ubisoft. God.
Right.
At least they didn't have Altair kill him in the same moment in time. They left that to him.
I think Altair was old during Genghis Khan.
Okay, going back to Star Wars, let's start the video.
Let's start the video.
Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. Why are you in my house, Steve? Anyway, we talk a lot about demilitarization on this channel, especially regarding the New Republic and Old Republic's military policy. We talk about how the Russo Reformation 1,000 years before the Clone Wars led to a lack of security in the Outer Rim, which ultimately caused a series of events to happen which led to the Clone Wars and then led the Republic to its downfall. The same concept of demilitarization was brought up during the Galactic Concordance Treaty, which signaled the end of the Galactic Civil War, and it'd be kind of a pervasive message that the New Republic was trying to spread in the very early years of its foundation, and that, of course, would ultimately lead to it being unprepared for the First Order threat. We generally view the policy of demilitarization in a negative light.
That's why it's done.
Not because I'm a warmonger. If anything, I'm a lovemonger. Or a fishmonger, which is another acceptable use of the word monger.
What, you fuck fish?
You know, we basically taken a look at our viewpoint on demilitarization, and in the spirit of being more nuanced and balanced and analytical with our opinions, we've decided to look at the upsides of demilitarization because there clearly are some upsides. That's why the New Republic and Old Republic both adopted these strategies. So what is the difference between the republics and the empire? Well, aside from the fact that the republics were run as democratic republics with representatives from each member state, the republics also featured a relatively open and free market, whereas the empire featured a military-first controlled economy. The republics are actually far less
So how do we actually know
fascism?
that? How do we know there's a military run? Like, what is that? Where does that happen?
I don't know because I think this is really deep lore of Star Wars, and I didn't read the new expansion, the new expanded books, and neither the old. I don't know if the Empire. If he's saying that the Empire was like the Germany with the autarky and controlling the factories, maybe, but I don't know.
All right, here's
I think it's more like kind of a service. I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah. It's more like a service that like the US provides, that like you can like pay them to like be there for defensive reasons, like mercenary kind of work. But like know that like the trade routes in the Empire era, they were like protected and like it was working as a well-oiled machine. It's like, but like for the sequel era, I don't know.
Well, the Empire needed the resources of the entire galaxy for the Death Star project. It needed to funnel all of that. And
I can see the Empire doing stage intervention to get the resources and strip mining planets and all sorts of things.
Yeah, they were working with high energy on it. That's why you had all these slave planets around during the Empire. Way more than there were before, and it makes with the prior explanations of in order to build the Death Stars, they needed all the resources in the galaxy, of the economy that they had available. It doesn't make sense to build something like Starkiller Base in parallel, because that thing itself requires that level of resource management.
Any for a ragtag group like the First Order, because the First Order seems small enough to be a terrorist cell in the TFA. I don't know how they became the Empire in TLJ.
An explanation I remember about Starkiller Base was that that's previously was Illum, the planet where the Jedi got their lightsaber crystals, and that thing was, since it was under Empire control then after the fall of the Republic, that since then the Empire has been building that thing. But that would mean that then the First Order just utilized it, the thing that was already there. But that would mean that thing was built in 20, 30 years and abandoned in the meantime, and the First Order then finished it. That would still require this at least the same amount of resources that was used to build the Death Star. And the Death Star already needed all the economic power of the Empire. The whole thing makes no sense.
All right, here's Great Scott. Can't stay for long, but there's this huge plot thread in the prequels where the Old Republic demilitarized, which allowed for tons of private military groups to take advantage. I don't see how that could be beneficial. when there's a massive power vacuum. I don't understand the concept of having an EU or a UN or this big group of whatever to cover the galaxy and say, hey, you know what? We're the big top dog, and we're just going to stop doing that. We're just going to let people make their own militaries and protect themselves. Which,
if you don't even have a police, because this whole demilitarization is a higher level form of defunding the police. You need someone who protects your trade routes. You need someone who protects your tourists, your citizens. And the military is just the higher level of that against greater threats.
Well, this is more than just the idea of police. This is military power in space covering the galaxy. And to say, we're just going to turn that off is like, really? You can do that.
In a galaxy where we have space piracy, where we have the hot cartels, that are just several planets, several systems of pure crime. It's the what do you want to call that? What do we want to call that? The anarcho-capitalist dream?
No, but this is a little over the top to just consider this, because it's such a scale we can't wrap our brains around.
I think it would cost a little higher to demilitarize too, because you need to withdraw the troops and take all the fuel to bring them back to their homes, such and such.
There is a huge...
Oh God, the levels of unemployment. Oh my God.
Yeah, but there's a huge gap in time, which would explain a lot of development of like peaceful times and any structure of the galactic government, all the policies, all the voting. Some sectors want certain military, some sectors don't. So there's all kinds of details, which, because it's a galactic level, you can't just dismiss years and years of development and say, they just turned it off. Sorry?
Mm-hmm. And Benzo in the chat mentions the Old Republic at least had the Jedi as peacekeepers. The New Republic doesn't have that excuse.
Yeah, the New Republic lost the New Order of Jedi.
Okay, well, here's Vladimir Dragunov. Thank you for the 5. I'm not sure if this is still true, but I heard somewhere that all the leaders of the major powers in World War II were Templars.
That one's for me, I think.
Stalin is a Templar.
Okay, well, guys, different topic. Okay, so let's not jump into that. All right. All
I'm going to say is that I think it was either Unity or Syndicate that gave you a section in World War II that confirms that. That's all I'm going to say.
Everybody is a raid boss.
Let's not.
Canadian history.
Yeah, Ubisoft is a special place. Let's just say.
Well, now.
Well, it's like Blizzard. Every character in the lore has to become a raid boss because we can't come up with anything anymore.
No.
Very much.
Here is Great Scott again. Prequel era, they still had smaller planetary groups and police. The Star Wars Bounty Hunter, for example. But when a Mandalorian LARPer can scale a tower on Coruscant, fighting through hordes of security and making a dirty senator, you know it's bad. Well, there's all kinds of things happening already, even with the Galactic Republic or even with the Empire in power. So, yeah, I don't see how it wouldn't be a problem if you started adding more troops, because there's never enough power you need to cover a sector of space. This is not just land. We're talking.
Right. There's also other neutral factions like the Mandalorians.
I think the Mandalorians are under the remnants of the Empire because of the Mandalore series.
This is the problem with the genre as a whole. When you talk about space opera, you have to go into detail for certain things if that's the topic of conversation. And that's why the problem with the prequels, the first 10, 20 minutes, the Trade Federation with taxes and having a blockade. It was like, who you block? Are you demanding taxes, or do you want taxes to go away? We have no clue what the hell they're doing. It's just a blockade for the sake of there being a blockade and to have conflict so that you have to send off these 2 Jedi to figure stuff out. And that's the problem.
But they wanted money from the Naboo.
Yeah, there's no further explanation.
They wanted to lure the Jedi into the tea house gas chamber and gas them.
It's all just to set up a scenario for conflict, and you're sitting there going, why are they being diplomatic? What's going on? How?
Nothing makes sense in the beginning.
Well, no, this is the Star Wars movies. This is how you have to treat them. They're not that smart, and it's the same thing whether it's science or diplomacy.
Yeah, that's not because it's Star Wars. That's because the writers messed up.
No, it is Star Wars. In this case, George. The writers aren't that good.
I'm not saying it's not bad because it's Star Wars. It's because the writers were shit.
Oh, I'm saying it is bad because it's Star Wars. No. This is what Star Wars has always been. You could argue the books.
I disagree.
I disagree.
You can write good in any setting.
Yes.
When you have like a force, when you have the force that can literally just decide whatever the fuck's gonna happen, I think like you have issues with your world. It's kind of like Color 2 was like so good because like it pointed out that like this is kind of retarded. Like it doesn't matter like what we do. If the force decides that like you should die, you will die.
Yeah, that was one of the arguments Kreia was making, that it seems to have a will of its own, and she hated that because that means that certain individuals were favored by the universe because the Force willed
most reasonable woman in Star Wars.
Yeah, there's a video you guys can watch, The Philosophy of Kreia. It's pretty good.
Anyway, here's Francis Ford Coppola. To use a real-life example, when the apartheid of South African government collapsed, so too did its military, effectively demilitarizing it. The soldiers lost their pensions, and many of them joined mercenary companies operating in Africa. Okay, interesting. Holy, I'm not familiar with the various countries of Africa and how they operate, so I'm sure there's lots of history there that does not get reported on too often.
Yeah, and we should expect the same in Star Wars after the Emperor was killed, that all the people who worked in the rebellion didn't just go back to baking bread. Especially while there is still so many remnants of the Empire left.
There would be a lot of successor states of the Empire after the Emperor is dead.
Yeah, and it would be super interesting to have had stories in between movies that were just warring Empire factions.
Yeah,
with each other over who's the real bestest empire and wanting resources and secret projects
from each other. I expected that from Mandalorian, really. Like I expected like something like that from the Mandalorian because like
I agree
that was exactly the era.
Mm-hmm. Have several groups of the Empire fight over Grogu, for example. That would be a start.
All right, one more. We'll get back to the video. White Knight Leo. I'm fine with anarchy, but you can't have a government and no military. No military means no ability to project power and enforce authority.
Yeah.
That's part of it, yes.
Yeah, and the projection of power by the military is not simply, we might attack you. It's simply the threat that you have, that you pose, so that you will not be attacked. It's like learning martial arts. It's like learning self-defense.
Imagine if the Republic passes law that saying that all trade ships need to do an inquiry and see what is in the cargo. And because they have no army, they can't enforce that law. The law is just a suggestion. Some planets will do, other planets will simply say, "Why we need to do? You don't have the force to make that law."
Yeah, I mean, the simplest result would have been that they would these Republic planets, these remnants of the Republic, would just be gobbled up by the Hutt cartels.
Or other neutral factions there is in the Star Wars. Maybe a gang, maybe a pirate gang started.
Yeah, but I'm saying the Hutt cartels, especially because for one, they're known, they're big, and they're ruthless, they're subversive. They just fill you up with contraband, and you have no chance of doing anything against it. Because you decided, let's not have a police because people will be nice to each other, and the Empire remnants won't harm us anymore. Like, how delusional must you be?
Yep.
All right.
regulated. They free trade zones that encourage economic growth in areas where they might not be because it's too remote or dangerous to go there. The empire is all about nationalizing resources, supply chains, and manufacturing, which provides a large amount of military material for wholesale prices.
How do you know that? I'm like, where is he getting this? Because we learned in episode 8 that there's just people making stuff for everyone, like ships and weapons. So there's manufacturers external to the government that are not part of whatever.
I think he's saying during the Empire time, not even in the First Order era.
Okay, so that means they're just...
Imagine the Empire, because we say the comparison every time. The Empire is the space Nazis. They probably have the same policies of nationalizing the industry, saying what you are going to produce, what the quantity you are going to produce.
Yeah.
Maybe the Empire economy is really broken because they need to supply that army that they have.
Yeah, and the First Order must still be in control of hundreds, if not thousands, of planets in order to sustain this large an army, a navy on top of, if you will, and build mega things like Starkiller Base and the Supremacy, and fill that up with TIE fighters.
I'm not sure if this is on the expanded universe, but implying, it's just my headcanon. I don't know if it is on the expanded universe, but I can safely sure that some planets starve it out because of the Empire policies of nationalize everything and saying what you need to produce and what you need to do, how many you need to do.
Yeah, but they need to keep sustaining that. Why would people join the First Order? Where do they get the slaves from to indoctrinate into the First Order if they didn't have vast amounts of worlds to tap into? They need to be a large enough threat on the galaxy map still, and it would be retarded to demilitarize yourself while that thing is still there.
Right.
And as the chat points out, yes, there's still all the moths, maybe Grand Moths, and they are the ones who would carve up the map between them, and maybe vie for power between each other.
All right, here's
the Republic at that point is those rebel planets, if you will. They're irrelevant.
Here is Great Scott. 1, explain how the Remnant reunified. Central figure like Thrawn or new similar character holding it all together. 2, preemptive strike on the new Jedi Order, forcing Luke into hiding. Luke leaves map fragments behind by Force sensitives to find and train. That would have been interesting. That would have been a natural progression of events. Like, oh, this is bad. I got to do something about it. I can't do anything right now. I got to go into hiding. And then only certain people can find the map. Yeah, you know.
Yes, it's like the Empire's still around. They're looking for me. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, no, there's lots of simple edits we could make to episode 7 or the premise of the sequels to make some logic aside from just personal stupid shit like I'm scared or I want to die or whatever Luke was trying to say.
Yeah, so it could have just been that the First Order make it very obvious that the First Order was most likely made up of one of the biggest factions of Empire remnants that were after him, and that's why he ran away. Yeah, that's why he went.
They needed to connect the dots from episode 6 somehow, and they never went to the Senate. They never had like the senator. Okay, I'm going to leave the Republic because this is bad, and there's a bunch of people that went with him, and like we never got that little 10-minute clip of the politics behind the First Order or how it came about. It's just the First Order reigns supreme. You're like,
yeah, it's just, exactly. It's just there.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see the New Republic fighting a terrorist cell that is the First Order. The First Order doing raids in certain planets, and you need to send armies to deal with those raids. That would be awesome.
Again, just something just as simple as the First Order was founded by a remnant of the Empire that was after Luke specifically, and that's why he went to hiding. Even something as simple as that would have made it a lot better.
All right, here's White Knight Leo again. Government is force, and force is violence, the supreme authority from which all other authority is derived. Ignoring this fact doesn't make you more moral.
No, I know that phrase. It's Starship Troopers is great. Everyone needs to read and watch. True.
Okay. Here's Joe Crazy, and then we'll get back to the video. I'm sure they got the info from whatever BS side content Disney pumped out in the last few years. Yeah, that's fine, but I want references. I really do, because this is just this guy. He might have done it in his first few videos like years ago, and he's just so used to it, he doesn't have to. But as anyone who doesn't know his channel going into this, you're like, what are you talking about? Where did this come from? So...
Seemingly 2,000 people thought that this is a good video, so they're probably aware of the lore. Yeah, like it could like drop some references because it doesn't take too long to explain.
Okay.
In the Empire, the military is the primary driver of employment, economic growth, and death. And a huge majority of the civilian populace are all somewhat dependent on either the military or the military-industrial complex for jobs. There's a reason why Emperor Palpatine pushed for this type of control over the economy, along with seizing control of the banking systems and essentially giving himself the power to print money. The Galactic Republic during his rule simply was not able to afford the massive costs to fuel the federal military force large enough to protect the entire galaxy. We have to really disconnect from our current understanding of what a nation or a state is. I mean, the Empire was not just a one continent entity here. It spans the length and width of a good portion of the entire galaxy. Even at the height of the Imperial military's power, they still weren't able to defend every system. At best, they would have a small quick reaction force posted at a hyperspace junction in a nearby sector. This is what led to the Death Star situation. It was a solution to the problem of having too many planets to control. Instead of just having a physical presence on every planet, the Empire decided to use Alderaan as an example to kind of scare everyone into line.
Yes and no. Most of all, the Empire, the Empire didn't have a on the ground. Yes, they had presences, but the Star Destroyers it wasn't one per system. It was one was controlling 1 to 4 systems. Like they were jumping around. The more important the system, the more permanent the presence. And then consider the Empire had just about something over 4,000 Star Destroyers. So you can make your guess of how many systems the Empire was controlling. So we can make an estimate of 10 to at maximum 16,000. So let's just say 15,000 systems. That's systems, not planets. You can have several habitable worlds per system, or mining planets that have no atmosphere, and so on. That is a vast amount of resources. And then we get this information that the Republic is destroyed after blowing up 5 planets within one system that are in viewing distance of each other. Come on. This is nonsense. And yes, the planet destruction you can see as a threat, but you also need someone who tells the tale. That should have been Leia, because she's the only one who did.
I can see the argument saying that the Republic didn't have that money to pay all the soldiers. But let's be honest, the Republic is a state. They would print money just to pay the soldiers and do a massive inflation of the galaxy.
Oh, and chat corrects me. Thanks, kids. Saying that the Empire, according to canon, had about 25,000 Star Destroyers. So we go up to we would go up to about 100,000 systems. That makes it even more ludicrous.
All right, let's keep going.
They unfortunately just forgot that most sentient species...
What the hell did he just say? Sorry.
Yeah, go back.
They unfortunately just forgot that
most... Try it one more time.
As an example to kind of scare everyone into line. They unfortunately just forgot that most sentient species...
I think he said they unfortunately just forgot.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
All right.
Is that his best take?
No.
Well, like how they unfortunately just forgot Scarif.
They just forgot Scarif.
Because it's like they pretty much retconned it. So didn't they retcon it so it was Scarif that was the one that was made an example of to show the Death Star's power, or is it still technically Alderaan?
Alderaan, because like Scarif was just pretty much just that small island that they targeted.
Scarif was
the whole planet, wasn't it?
They didn't destroy the entire planet, yes. So.
Yeah.
But Scarif, no one knows about Scarif. Scarif was.
Even then, Scarif was still more of a.
There was two planets that the Empire blew up in Rogue One. More for when they found Saw Gerrera.
It didn't blow up all of Jeddah though. It was just the mining facility.
Are you sure? I think they destroyed.
It was only the city of Jeddah.
It was on Jeddah was only the city, and I think I think you're right. Scarif, it was just the island base for the Empire. I think.
Yes.
They can't control the weapon.
Then again, you're right. It's like I don't think that Death Star was at full power at that point yet. It was by the time of Alderaan, right? Was that the explanation, or am I just misremembering shit?
No, there's like nothing. Alderaan was the first target that was shown the full power
that was
of the Death
completely
Star.
Destroyed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then ignore me.
All right, let's go.
Species in the galaxy are pretty irrational, prone to emotional outbursts and random acts of terrorism or freedom fighting attacks, whatever you want to call them. So what about the New Republic and its policy of demilitarization? Well, Chancellor Mon Mothma has been called a pacifist by both her detractors and supporters. Demilitarization actually fits right into line with what one faction of the New Republic government really believes in.
Yeah, and pacifism is absolutely retarded in that variant because it makes you unable to defend yourself against anything and anyone. You need to be able to at least strike back, otherwise the bully will take all your stuff. Because you will just sit there.
All people, like she was leading the rebels. Like,
yeah.
Why would she want to be pacifist? Like, she understands. She should be the person who understands war the best.
Yeah, she should, and as well as the threat at hand as a whole.
Yes.
Unless because they wanted to, if we can write that they wanted to demilitarize to get funds to remilitarize and buy all the new equipment and upgrading the soldiers, but at the time of the first soldier, they just had the resistance, and the resistance was really poor equipment.
And it just kind of shows like these wires are just like extremely idealistic, and they just like see as a virtue that like, oh, if you strive for world peace, that's like the best thing you can ever do. And if you have like any demands to have a military for any protection wise, then you're just like kind of evil, and like you're just like very selfish side. That's just so stupid.
But that's what
they don't want to realize that. They don't want to realize that if you do not have a military to protect yourself, that there will not be world peace, because there will always be evil people. There will always be assholes. And they think, oh, you're defenseless. Oh, that's your stuff? Well, it's my stuff now. What are you going to do? There was a very nice historic case. I need to look up what the place was called. Was somewhere around China. Or in China, even
the Tiananmen Square. Yeah.
No. Was a story of a rebel force that fought for autonomy, achieved that, and then thought, oh, we want to be peaceful. Let's be pacifists. Laid down all their weapons, got rid of the military, and then China showed up and said, oh, nice country you have here.
The Red Army came to go their community.
Yeah, and they said, "Oh, nice little country you have here. Nice fight for freedom. Yeah, this is now our place." And they couldn't do anything because they had nothing to fight back. This is the story that this should have been. That Star Wars should have been if the Republic is really so dumb as to demilitarize after poking the Empire just at its head.
All right, here's the Mechanist. There's a
not even Starfleet would be this dumb.
there's a book that attempts to make sense of all the loose lore from the original EU. I forgot the name, but it's like a huge tome. I don't even discover it until I saw an iceberg video that mentioned it. An iceberg video?
What does it do? Is like tie the old EU back into the sequels, or what?
Doesn't make sense because the EU was decanonized. So
I think
No, it's recanonized.
well,
I think the book just
Some of it.
Yeah,
Some of it's recanonized right now. Yeah.
And Kathleen Kennedy admitted that later on that there's so much Star Wars lore to draw from in the expanded universe.
after we decanonized it.
Yeah, she backpedaled on the
at the UFS go, bruh, what the heck?
Yeah, after she claimed that there's just nothing. We have to make up our own shit because there's absolutely nothing except the movies.
Yeah.
The UFS doesn't care about the new Star
And
Wars.
cartoons,
Anyway.
don't forget
It's
the
just
cartoons.
not. You love the
I could
books
even
and the
imagine that she really believed there was nothing but the movies because she gives so
No,
little of a
it's
shit about the franchise.
Well,
Just
if they played around with the ideas from the EU and just incorporated some of them, I'm sure they did that with the Clone Wars and tried to fill in the blanks. But if they even just did a smidgen of the craziness that was the EU stories and put that into a plot line or a series of events, I think they would have had a much more concrete world to work with as opposed to, hey, JJ, can you make a planet that shoots death rays at other planets and stuff? Like, there's lots of things that JJ...
I'm pretty sure JJ came up with that all on his own.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, there's no question. That is the dumbest shit.
Quick question: is Clone Wars counted as part of the old EU, or is it just?
It's canon.
No, the Clone Wars is canon. Not the
Clone Wars is main universe, main series.
Yes.
The 2D Clone Wars, the superior Clone Wars, but the 3D Clone Wars.
The Ahsoka Clone Wars.
Okay.
I love Ahsoka, but the Genji Starter Comics Clone Wars is great.
At this point, I would honestly believe that like the Star Wars Holiday Special is like probably like one that Kathleen Kennedy was seeing, and like she was like saying like, yeah, okay, let's not draw any inspiration from this one.
There's still that. I mean, I think there is still going to be that one Guardians of the Galaxy like short film or something that's going to parody the old holiday special for Star Wars or something. It's like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special or something like that.
Can't wait for Ichibaka to make a comeback.
I think it's going to like dunk on the old Star Wars holiday special to some extent.
I honestly find the holiday special less unbearable than the sequels.
All right, here is Great Scott.
It was the first appearance of Boba Fett, too.
Great Scott's continuing his line of reasoning here. Part 3, replace Snoke Palpatine with Darth Krayt. Make him a living planet killer similar to Darth Nihilus. Oh, that's cool. Explain how he seduced Ben to the dark side via flashbacks and how Ben felt sidelined and neglected by Luke. That forced him out of his own and to Krayt. Huh. Okay. I mean, there's lots of things we could do to fix whatever the hell happened in episode 7 and 8 because it's so flimsy that to make sense of stuff and to do an interesting character isn't that hard. You can just come up with ideas and go, yeah, this sounds like a lot more solid concept than what we got with just, hey, the First Order is the Empire and it's back. And you're like, really? How?
Why?
Who are these people? Where'd they come from?
Yeah, why didn't the rebels clean up the Empire?
Like instantly.
In fact, I think the Republic would be really paranoid with any new type of Empire remnants. I think it would make sense to the Republic. Republic confiscate the weapons of the remnants, but it wouldn't make sense that confiscating their own weapons.
Yeah, because the Empire is obsessed with building planet killer weapons all the fucking time. Like, I wouldn't want even the tiniest remnant of that to be around, and I would want that technology to be scrapped forever. If I was the rebels.
Cool contracts because the New Republic is so paranoid because they are actually oppressing the Empire loyalists, and they are really like second-class citizens. The Empire loyalists are second-class citizens, and they are not really treated well. That would be really awesome.
Yeah, and that's a logical conclusion of these things usually. And I can imagine that there would be loyalists of the Empire simply because their worlds worked under the Empire. They didn't have much trouble. That's the same reason why to this day we have people in Germany who, with nostalgia and reverence, think of how it was so much better in socialist East Germany. Because they were party affiliates. They got the special apartments at the Stalin Alley, and had good standing. They got food when there were shortages. They didn't have problems. They were doing well. And then that magical, wonderful socialist utopia fell apart. And they lost all their privileges. Of course they'd be loyalists to the old regime, because they profited from it. For them it was a nice time. They didn't see any of the atrocities, why would they? They'd never see the bad side of the Stasi.
Here is The Mechanist for $1.11, thank you. The book takes, this is the continuation of his previous donation, the book takes the contradictions and ideas of the EU, such as the father and siblings, oh god, the final precept, force anomalies, and the different ideas from different writers, and meld them into a coherent lore. If someone could do that with all the stuff from whatever the 3D Clone Wars was about, that crazy storyline, and makes a giant tome to make sense of whatever the Star Wars lore is nowadays, that'd be rather impressive. The thing is, a lot of those stories are pretty weak. Like, they're just dumb. And you're just like, okay, how do we bother to use this? Do we include it? If it is canonized, how do we incorporate it? How does it make sense? Because as soon as we saw that episode, that was the animation's way of describing Lucas's version of the prophecy and inventing all these characters and doing all this shit.
Which one specifically?
The father and the siblings.
Oh no, those existed before the Clone Wars series.
Well,
yeah,
the way they
that's
were
expanded
presented,
universe stuff.
The way they were presented in the Clone Wars was just retarded, and it's just this horrible idea that.
Yeah, the execution was shit, but the concept wasn't anything new.
Yeah.
Well, what episode? Because I don't remember watching Clone Wars. The new episodes.
Whoever made the comment, because when I don't see the super chat in the YouTube thing, I can't see it. If you figure out what that book is called, please send me a DM on Discord. Because I really like it when people try to get a consistent grounding out of the mess that such stories are. It's part of what I liked about Breath of the Wild. Because it tried to somehow cautiously pull all these different Zelda games together into one consistent point.
Not really.
Mm-hmm. No, if you look at the map, you have elements from all the different games there, and they geographically make sense.
Yeah, but that's because it doesn't care about the official timeline anymore.
No, after I abandoned the attempt,
mashed everything together to shut people up.
All right.
They don't say.
That's weak.
I don't think Nintendo's simply ditch the official timeline, but they don't say what timeline is Breath of the Wild.
I think that's just.
I just say fuck it and say it's in the same timeline as Wind Waker after the flood. That's it. That's all I have to say.
I only believe in the CDI timeline. Faces of Evil.
For saying that.
The only thing the thing that makes the most sense, especially for a company like Nintendo, in my experience, is to not say anything concrete about that. To have the creative room to put the filler game in that pulls it all together.
Right. The only thing we know is that Breath of the Wild is after Ocarina of Time. That's it.
And after Twilight Princess, necessarily.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the Hyrule Castle that stands there is the Twilight Princess Castle, and the Great Plateau, the tutorial area, is the Ocarina of Time castle, town, and castle.
All right.
True.
Here's Francis
But
Bartolo.
back to Star Wars.
Side note, but I personally really hate the casting decision for Kylo. Adam Driver looks nothing like Harrison Ford or Carrie Fisher, yet I'm expected to believe that's their son.
Well, maybe Carrie Fisher was his mother.
Harrison Ford have a big nose. You can believe that Adam Driver is son of Harrison Ford.
That is the least of Star Wars' problems for the sequel trilogy.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, but also still an okay criticism.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could argue that maybe he's Leia's son, but maybe not Han's.
Oh, let's not go there. Come on.
No. Let's not take it that far.
It's the son of Thrawn.
All right.
Now, we don't really get to see much factionalism in the New Republic until Mon Mothma steps down due to health concerns. But when she does step down, there's a clear split in the New Republic Senate. We have the centrist and the populist. The centrists generally hail from core worlds. They believe in strong regulations, more federal government, and large federal militaries. Some members of the centrist party were actually imperial sympathizers and kind of wanted to go back to how things were before. The populists, on the other hand, were mainly made up of former rebels who wanted limited federal government and more planetary rights. These individuals, like Mon Mothma, were very wary of what a
doesn't
large
make any
federal
sense,
military
those
could do
names,
to the
but
New Republic.
okay.
Remember, they just destroyed the Empire. They didn't want to replace one empire with another military
They
dictator.
didn't destroy the Empire. They
Populists
killed the
weren't pacifists, though.
Emperor.
It wasn't like they were anti-military. As a matter of fact, populists like Senator Leia Organa would be called a warmonger for leading the fight against the First Order before the group had even revealed itself to the galaxy. Now, the populists
They don't need to reveal themselves. They don't need to reveal themselves. According to what happened in these stupid sequels, nothing about the Empire was, in any relevant measure, destroyed, taken care of. The threat was not gone. Couldn't be. Not if they return at this fucking size.
I don't even know how the populists won the vote for demilitarizing the New Republic.
Oh, we don't want to be like the Empire, so let's not have any weapons.
That was the only populist that said, no, fuck you, we need those weapons. Those guys will get bigger and attack again.
Yeah, is the Empire really gone? Have you detained all the leaders of the Empire? No? Then there is still an Empire. God.
All right.
How many planets do they still have? 1,000? 100? Enough to build Star Destroyers and Super Star Destroyers and whatever that stupid carrier was, that Snowcat? Oh, maybe we should have some defenses against that. No, let's just run away from planet to planet. What the fuck is wrong with you?
All right.
Military funding should...
What?
Again, it's like, to bring up Star Trek again. Again, even when Starfleet demilitarized, they weren't this careless about not being able to defend themselves. They at least still had something.
When did they demilitarize in Star Trek?
I believe, was it during in the original timeline after Federation Klingon War, or somewhere around that time?
From my limited knowledge, it is after the Klingon War.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
in the original
TOS era?
timeline. In the original, after TOS era, in between TOS and TNG.
Okay.
I think it was after the time of Kirk that the war happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or before. What am I saying?
Of course, yeah. They even have the tree in Star Trek 6.
It was sometime. Yeah, wasn't. No, I think it was sometime before TOS, because the relations were still bad with the Klingons, but not to the extent from the war. But again, but the point stands that even Starfleet, when it demilitarized, at some point, they're either just before or just after TOS, they at least had some capability of defending themselves in case of some kind of major conflict.
Yeah, because all you do after a war is you scale down your military because it uses up too much resources. You don't need that much.
Exactly, that's the key.
Demilitarization, full demilitarization, is what you do with the enemy you have beaten. If the enemy was the aggressor, like the Nazis, you say, you're not going to get an army. Or like Japan, you're not going to have an army, you're not going to have nuclear weapons, we have an army, we have nuclear weapons, and we're going to have military bases in your fucking country until we think you have returned enough to sanity that we can leave you alone. Germany still doesn't have nuclear weapons, Japan doesn't have nuclear weapons, while being threatened with nuclear strikes by China right now. We got in the I think it was 56. We got a defensive military, the Bundeswehr, back again, and everybody was on tiptoes because of that. Germany getting a military again. Oh my God, we need to be careful. Same with Japan's defense force.
Spotboy, Lucas Legacy said the episode that you were mentioning was the episode when Yoda beats the wheels of the Force.
Yeah.
And he said he had problems because Lucas didn't oversee it.
Well, that was the one where he learns about how to talk to the dead, the Force ghosts, I think. He learns the skill. Mm-hmm. It's this whole bizarre adventure he goes on. It's this silly thing.
Isn't that the same episode where Qui-Gon comes back, or is that later?
He's not coming back, but he talks to Yoda and explains to him the thing that even Yoda hadn't figured out after 900 years of how to tap into the very, very core of the Force, where the Force talks to you.
Yeah, well, I was not a fan of the show, so anyway.
It was fine. It's not as bad as people say.
Yeah,
it's at least decent.
Yeah, you don't take it seriously. I think it's fine.
For the most part, it's watchable.
Anyway.
We don't talk about the Easter episodes in the new episode of the new season, but hey, details.
Here's Vladimir Dragunov for the 10. Thank you. So we defeated the Third Reich. Now what? Let them keep their military strength. Heck, let them build up again, as long as they promise not to do the big bad again. Well,
yeah, while we get rid of our weapons.
On top of that, the British said, okay, let's decolonize and get rid of our armies. The same with the US and the Soviet Union.
I wonder what would happen in Germany if they had done that.
All right, one more. And we'll keep going.
Say, hey, let's
very bad. Very bad.
The Mechanist, thanks for $1.11 again. I looked it up. It's called Star Wars Supernatural Encounters: The Trial and Transformations of Arhul Hextrophon. What? It might not cover the fourth precept or the Father, but it does cover the weird Force creatures seen in the EU and the fourth precept. Okay. I mean,
can you say that title again?
Star Wars Supernatural Encounters: The Trial and Transformation of Arhul, Arhul, Hextrophon. Yeah, good luck.
Okay.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's a book, apparently.
Okay, it's from 2018.
Yeah.
No, I think he gave him a microphone, caught something in the background.
Yeah, that was a truck. That was a truck on the freeway. My bad. Might place you in another world.
Anyway, if you guys want, I'll just copy and paste it in chat if you want to see the actual message. Anyway, let's keep going.
All right. Yeah, let's keep going.
Be redirect local planetary defense forces, and there are actually a lot of good reasons for doing that. When you give member states more individual responsibility for self-defense, you'll start seeing smarter allocations of resources for defenses that are custom tailored to the specific needs of the system or planet. With less layers of bureaucracy and less federal oversight, the local defense forces had a lot more flexibility when it came to how they wanted to spend their funds on building.
Oh no! You can still have those. That's like locally policing yourself. That's fine. That's the subsidiary principle. You should have that in a good democracy. However, you still need to be able to coordinate and work together, and that's apparently not what the Republic does. That's what a layer above that can help with.
You could have the local forces, the local PDF, but apparently the First Order simply won against it. It took all the children, all the resources, raided various Republic planets to build the forces.
All right, here's Vladimir Dragunov, the continuation of his previous super chat. Oh no, they did the big bad again. How could this be possible? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the problem with this, what video guy just said, is you're just a bunch of singular planets. You happen to be on the same side, but you're not organized. Which means that any enemy force that is organized can just snip away one after the other with no big opposition.
Yeah, it was also funny that like he used Naboo as an example, even though like the Jedi and like some of like Anakin pretty much as a Mary Sue character in the Phantom Menace. If he wasn't there, they would have been fucking crushed by the Trade Federation.
Also, it was not even apparently wasn't even not even a galactic war. It was a local war between the Naboo and the Trade Federation.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
But technically, like Lucas was right to like start locally.
The old Republic allowed the local wars. You guys can deal with one another. We have a lot of problems to deal.
Yeah, at the point, like Trade Federation was part of the Republic, wasn't it? I think like it's even still part of it in like Clone Wars.
It wasn't part of it. It had its own seat for some reason.
Yeah, the Trade Federation was part of the Senate, so it was a local war, not a galactic war.
And the thing is, you need you need your Federation fleet that is funded by all of these local planets, that can act against a bigger threat. That's what it's there for. Just as a deterrent. It exists as a deterrent. And because if you don't have that, as I said before, you're just singular planets, that is already, you're playing already into a divide and conquer strategy of the enemy yourself. You are already divided. You're not united. That's why you're easy picks. So the First Order wouldn't have even needed its stupid planet killer thing. They could have just taken planet by planet, and this pseudo republic couldn't have done anything against it.
All right. Here is Great Scott, and we'll keep on going. Finally, and more on the specific topic, the Galactic Empire poured so much of the galaxy's resources into Death Stars and fleets, and after 40 years or so of fighting, the New Republic can only field a small force. Thus, create nihilists. They need Jedi. Oh, because they want to eat. They want to eat Jedi. They want to feed off them. I don't know exactly what that refers to. Well,
if you only have a dozen planets, what the fuck are you supposed to build against 1,000?
This is not worth arguing. This is just such a silly thing to say. Okay. Anyway.
I thought suspension of disbelief doesn't matter. So the stupid dozen planets could have superstar destroyers themselves.
What?
Anyway, let's keep going.
Don't try to answer these questions. It's fine.
Military force and how they wanted to outfit them and how they wanted to deploy them. This allowed each planetary system to come up with their own local defense strategies. The result was that federal money was now being spent on local vendors and local manufacturers, and also local individuals were being employed in these defense forces. Sometimes you could also run
You're not making any sense.
Depending on the type of threat
you're not making any sense. Why would federal, in this case, that means in this case interplanetary, funds be put into solely local defense forces? If you have federal funds, you build a federal defense force. Local defenses, you build with your own stuff. You can ask for support from the federal treasury that funds this, the federal pot where this comes from. But what he's suggesting here is in statescraft, in economy, in military, it makes zero sense. This is bullshit. Nobody would do this unless this new republic would already be led by spies on the interior. To weaken it.
Like the planets have their own local forces that they can help themselves, but they are not powerful enough to defeat the First Order, who have lots and lots of upgraded weapons. So the federal army that it should exist should go there and help the local forces. The local forces are not prepared to fight the First Order.
Yeah, what are you gonna have? Some guerrilla Twi'leks that tear down a Star Destroyer with their Clone Wars adventure? No, you can't do that repeatedly. We're not talking about this about 16th century warfare. We're talking about planetary weapons, interstellar weapons. We're talking about you need defensive weaponry around your planet. You need ships, you need stations. You want to be reinforced. Enemies can hyperspace jump onto your rooftop.
You need regiments, armies, in every single sector of the New Republic.
Yeah, and you want to still move against the remnants of the Empire. Because they're gonna build some Death Star shit again. Why ever they're obsessed with these things, but they will. And the Empire technology also improves over time. And they've moved away in not just in the EU, but since stuff was taken over into the Clone Wars canon, they moved away from the flying coffins of the TIE fighters to shielded hyperspace capable TIE TIE types like the interceptors don't have shields, and they're just faster TIE fighters, and with 4 lasers instead of 2.
The new ones from episode 9, I think.
No, that's bullshit.
Well, there's TIE Advanced.
The TIE Advanced, for example, is a very small vessel that is very capable, very strong, has shields, and the pinnacle of that was the quite ugly TIE Defender. Then you had then you had these things with cloaking devices. The Defender had a tractor beam on board on top of everything else. The Defender was essentially on par with an X-Wing in many regards. And
what was the new one from episode 9 called? The TIE Dagger or something?
I have no idea whether that had a name. You mean this one thing that Kylo Ren had?
The TIEs that the wings look like arrows facing forward.
Arrows facing forward. Since I didn't see episode 9 because of this epilepsy bullshit, I have to look that up.
The point is, you can still have a decentralized government. You can still have an army. You can still have a voluntary army. Or a conscripted army. Depends what the New Republic needs.
Yeah, I haven't seen that before. I have never seen the TIE Dagger before. And my god, is that a stupid design. It has a solar. These outside the wings of the TIEs are solar panels. Why does this thing have a solar panel over its solar panel? Thereby putting a shadow onto the solar panel beneath. What the fuck is this? Is retarded.
Also, the thing that accompanies that design is the fact that months before Force Awakens, I think, the fact that it was originally fan art. That apparently Disney took that fan art and made it a canon TIE fighter or something.
God, there are so many TIE models from the games that you can incorporate that are good.
Apparently Coca-Cola had the largest fleet in the 1980s.
This thing is so fucking ugly.
That's kind of cool.
And what is it? What are the combat capabilities that this thing has over a TIE fighter?
I think with that I don't remember entirely. I think it was at least mentioned to be better than the standard TIE.
Okay, because it looks like it only has 2 laser cannons. Maybe it can shoot a missile.
There's
You had to.
about the TIE fighter.
This thing is such a waste. If it doesn't have shields, it's useless.
Alrighty, here's where is he? Great Scott. Okay, I wasn't trying to argue for the guy's argument, just accounting for the previous movies, since I'd imagine the galaxy is completely exhausted from war. I'm largely borrowing from KOTOR 2, since the only way to kill Nihilus and Crate, in my idea, was through Jedi. Nihilus would just keep eating Force-sensitive people, or planets for that matter. So he'd just be eating anything he could find. Crate, I'm not so sure. I don't know him too well. But
so is it? He's the equivalent of a carnivore or something.
He's basically a Jedi vampire. Yeah, he eats people who are Force-sensitive.
A vampire.
Yeah, that's all he lives for, is to eat Force-sensitive things like planets.
And then he gets baited to try to suck the light out of someone who is even more depressed than him. So.
Oh, great. Okay, the thing has shields, and additionally to its standard laser cannons, it has heavy laser cannons, and that's it. Like, this is a stupid design. There are so many better TIE fighters already.
Mm-hmm.
The TIE variants. Like,
my,
if you
my
want
absolute favorite is Vader's TIE. Enough said.
Yeah,
Vader's TIE was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Vader's TIE is like a pre-version of the TIE Interceptor.
Yes, the TIE Advance. That's what I said.
It's not a TIE Advance. The TIE Advance looks different.
No, Vader's
TIE Advance.
The TIE Interceptor is another type of TIE. The TIE Vader's
and Vader's TIE is literally one of a kind.
Mm-hmm. That's a unique one. So this is the TIE Advance.
It doesn't have an actual name. It's just Vader's TIE Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It is a TIE Advance. Like, I just looked it up on.
Is it?
No. The TIE Advanced has the. Oh no! Wait, it wasn't.
It looks like the TIE Bomber, but the TIE Advanced only has one cockpit, whereas the TIE Bomber has.
The TIE Advanced X1 or
yeah, you're right.
Advanced was an advanced prototype starfighter that was part of the TIE line, manufactured for Darth Vader.
So Vader's TIE is basically just the normal TIE fighter with the bomber's wings, or what?
Yes.
Kind of.
The TIE Advanced.
But the bomber's wings sized for a regular TIE fighter.
It actually works for Vader, at least.
It does. Like, we only see it for that one sequence, but I can only imagine that Vader's TIE being pretty much the best one in the fleet, just because it's his.
All right. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Sure, you won't get the same discounts you'll see with a massive military-industrial complex and massive production of vehicles, ships, and weapons, but you really don't need the type of massive ships the Empire fielded. I mean, a Star Destroyer probably costs the same as 1,000 smaller patrol ships. Those patrol ships could cover thousands of systems, whereas a Star Destroyer could cover only one. Federal government subsidies for local defense forces are quite important because the reality is, in a free market, anything worth protecting will be protected either through private means or corporations lobbying the government to provide protection. Rich planets, therefore, will have a huge advantage because they will actually be able to afford hiring the defense forces necessary to protect those resources. The planet of Quat, for instance, more or less saw stability throughout all of the major wars in the last few thousand years, and that was because of its ridiculous planetary defense force, which was made up of the largest dreadnoughts and battleships in the galaxy. And so these federal subsidies were really for, very remote areas in the Outer Rim where you might not necessarily have enough resources to actually defend yourself. These could be primitive or agricultural worlds that just don't produce enough wealth, but they still, of course, need to be protected from bandits and thugs. You'll also be replacing the Federal Academy system with locally trained soldiers and leaders who, again, are going to be highly focused on the role of protecting the local system. These individuals are constantly drilling different scenarios in order to us understand how to defend their local planet or system from outside invaders. So instead of having core world officers come and take over with a bunch of troopers from the Outer Rim, now you're gonna have locals fighting to defend their own planet, and they're gonna be willing to sacrifice a lot more than any kind of soldier from another planet. The mistake that the Old Republic made was that they completely disbanded the federal military. The New Republic at least has a small token defense force, which is, hovering around Hosnian Prime. In a worst-case scenario...
No, it's not. That's not the force of the Republic.
federal-
That is a rogue guerrilla force. That is not sanctioned by this New Republic bullshit. That's the whole thing.
The resistance is not a federal team. It is a totally separate organization.
Even in like Clone Wars perspective, like demilitarization was like a really retarded idea. I think like it was like a major plot point in like that arc.
I mean, in that case, wasn't
show.
it even more stupid because they were still midway into the war.
Yes, like because like that fraction of like Mandalore was like
the idea that
doing terrorist acts against them.
Yeah, in that case, the end of the Clone Wars was by no means anywhere. The end of it was nowhere near in sight at that point.
The idea that he is proposing actually can work. Local forces defending their own planets, but I think they will be overwhelmed by the invading forces. That's why you need to have a supra-military that is the federal army to help them defend the planet. Because even in the Clone Wars, even if they had local forces and they had the clone army fighting together.
Yeah.
Here is the mechanist once again. The Imperial leaders were all rivals to each other, and there's a loose line of succession. The Moffs and governors might have turned their fleets against each other. The factions could have ended up with a singular troop type like the Royal Guard.
That's what I've been saying.
It's possible. There's lots of wonderful things you could derive from the breaking up of an entire galactic-sized government. So resources, peoples, individuals. This is what should have probably have been leading up to episode 7, 8, 9. Like this whole series of mini stories and books and TV shows talking about stuff, just things happening. So that when we get to episode 7, it's like, oh, yeah, makes sense.
So the forces on Hosnian is the New Republic fleet, and they are really small. It's too bad. You can minimize your military, but I don't think you can do the large demilitarization that they did.
All right.
This force could have been deployed quickly in case there was an escalation in violence between member states or if some greater threat is detected. The federal military force in this case would function like a quick reaction force and immediately come to the aid of any planetary defense force that is being overwhelmed or attacked.
How again do you have this quick reaction force if you only have localized defense forces? If you have the quick reaction force, you already are putting federal funds in that, which means you have your Federation defense fleet. Did I miss something?
Apparently they have only the Hosnian fleet.
Yeah, but that's not an officially sanctioned fleet. That's guerrilla forces that resist the order of the Republic to not have a military, led by Leia.
Not the resistance. The Hosnian fleet is actually the sanctioned fleet from the New Republic.
Okay, then I got that wrong. Okay. And that thing was blown up by that Starkiller base bullshit?
I don't know. They never mentioned it again.
Wonderful! More plot holes. Fuck space wizards.
All right, let's go.
Attacked by maybe multiple enemies. The idea is to keep maintenance and costs low until you actually need your military force, and then when you do need military power, you can create a system to quickly integrate all of these different players under one flag. When the First Order attacked, there was almost no warning.
Look at
all
this.
the commanding officers and civilian military leaders in the New Republic perished in that catastrophic mining accident.
How?
That destroyed the entire Hazim.
How?
It left planetary
How?
defense forces without
It's
any
one
leadership,
system.
and they basically went to default mode, which is turtling. This allowed the massive.
Do you know what a decentralized government is?
That doesn't mean that the Republic is dead. The shit is decentralized.
Look, we are at a point in Star Wars technology, maybe again, but we are at a point in Star Wars technology where we fought a war against an empire that developed several planet killer weapons. You do not want your entire government, your entire military leadership on one single planet. That is insane at this point.
That country was in one single system that was wiped out.
Also, in Star Wars, we have instant communication across systems. Interstellar communication, interstellar live communication with holograms. That is an insane amount of data. So you can have your hologram, secret channel encrypted bullshit meetings with your military leadership most of the time, unless it's super, super, super secret. But you don't need everyone in one place. And then your entire defense fleet is in your one system too. Like, oh god.
You know, I think after about 40 years, there would be, I don't know, like not a missile shield when we talk about defending against a nuclear attack in the world. Like we have this nuclear deterrence or a nuclear defense, like missile command that would intercept a nuclear weapon. You'd think that they'd go, you know what, how do we stop a death ray from if someone were ever to build another Death Star, would there be a certain defense of how to prevent that? I'm sure within...
How about planetary shields?
Lightsabers.
How about planetary shields? We have planetary shields in Star Wars.
Right. Like something like that. Like something that would be like a souped up version of a shield that would minimize the damage as opposed to blowing up an entire planet.
So in the aftermath, the faction that want demilitarization wanted 90%. It doesn't state how much they did, but they gave all the military gear to the local PDF. How much the rebellion was big? Because I don't think they were big enough to weaponize all the planets in the New Republic.
I don't think I could say. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All right.
The massive First Order fleet to pick off worlds one at a time with overwhelming firepower. So the greatest failure of the New Republic was not actually demilitarization. Like any other program, demilitarization has great benefits and great disadvantages.
What are the benefits again?
Too many politicians.
Did I miss that? Please, someone explain to me, because I must have missed it. What are the benefits of demilitarization?
Oh, the biggest failure of the New Republic was the demilitarization. How was the demilitarization a good idea?
Yeah, and why?
What
are the benefits? What are the benefits?
If it was to revitalize the economy, so then build up the army, I could understand, but they never state that in the movies.
Well, that would imply if they did get a better economy, they could afford a better military when they needed to.
All I heard is that they demilitarized completely, fully, made themselves defenseless for ideological reasons. That's all. And you have to be insane to come up with that idea. Insane and naive. If little stupid autonomous cells of anarchists do that, yeah, okay, they'll be gobbled up next week by whoever the neighbors are. But an interstellar nation? What are the benefits again? Oh, you're scaling down your military from war times to defense times. That would make sense. Because that is a waste of resources. That is true. But to get completely rid of it, what is the positive effect? I don't remember him explaining that. Did I miss that?
It seems to be more economic freedoms and autonomous control of sectors or planets, I believe.
No, that's bullshit. You can still have... That's called a subsidiary principle. You can still have that.
I don't see why you
still need
wouldn't,
your proper federal military.
Anyway.
The subsidiary principle only states that you make decisions on the lowest possible level. And you can still do that while having a federal military to protect you, that you are even able to do that so that you're not overrun by some hooligans.
Yeah.
I'm done. This really pisses me off because I still don't know what good arguments he made that this is a good idea overall, because that's the statement of his title, that it is a good idea, period. So it is the favorable idea, and I don't see that, and I don't understand. I do not accept us making the work for him to come up with good reasons why that could be the case, because he's not even making that. While all the odds stand against this stupid idea. It's a stupid idea, not a good one. For fuck's sake.
We only would work in a temporary time that you can rebuild up the economy and then rebuild the military because you have the money and the resources to tax. Because if you are a free market, you will not really simply say to the companies or the craftsmanship to build certain things for you.
I tell you, this guy has never been punched in the face, has never been mugged, has never been robbed. Never.
I think you are talking about the J.J. Abrams, because he was the guy who made this idea of demilitarization.
Well, he probably as well.
Here's the mechanist again. If I was a Moth and had seen the Force firsthand, upon hearing of the Emperor's invader's death, I would have torched and burned my planet within the range of my fleet and bungled down in hopes that the rebels destroy me and my fleet.
He would basically do exterminatus of the planet.
That's a bit extreme.
For the Imperial Warhammer, exterminatus is really cheap because repatriating is expensive. So destroy everything, wait the planet to recover, and then recolonize.
Okay, all right. It's a very violent end.
Yeah, it is an extreme measure to solve problems.
All right, here we go.
If the Senate had taken Princess General Senator Leia Organa seriously, they could have dispatched an expeditionary force into the unknown region and stopped the First Order from ever building up its forces in the first place. So there you have it, guys. That is why we think demilitarization isn't all that bad. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below.
Your title was, it was a good idea.
Also, you guys can check us out on Facebook. We post a lot of random stuff up there.
Isn't all that bad and is a good idea are very different things.
You are.
I like how the cards are covering up his face.
It was the same. It is the same thing that they did with Warhammer. Oh, Warhammer Life. The Warhammer Life is not even that bad, and we keep going saying, "Hey, dude, you are probably going to be a cog in the machine. You are going to probably die of starvation. A Dark Crusade will come to their planet. You will probably die because a chaos space marine will kill you." And then when you die, the chaos entity will probably eat you too.
And before that, you will be made into a servitor, still conscious.
Yeah, and you can be a servitor.
While
Conscious.
doing menial tasks, be in constant pain that nobody can see because officially it is denied that servitors are still have consciousness.
All right, let's get to the
Alright.
streams, guys.
This was idiotic. This was absolutely fucking idiotic.
All right, okay, all right, that's fine.
What was the fucking argument?
It was
the
just
most
statements.
funny thing. Yeah, it was
With-
the most funny thing of the Warhammer episode is that the guy said, "Well, at least it's not boring living in Warhammer."
Great.
It was just statements of basic stuff without reference, which really pissed me off. So I was like, I don't care. Like, whatever, dude. This is what you think. That's fine. But if you don't reference something, I don't really care. He's just inventing stuff in his head, which doesn't really help me understand Star Wars lore more. So, anyway, let's get to the meme wars, or the stream memes. New Republic demilitarize her armed forces. Remnants of Empire, brand new Sith Lord and his evil army. Okay. Just rubbing his hands together, ready to go. What do you think, Wisp? Die Hard 2.
Der Herd.
Okay.
I don't know why do you ask me?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
When the Smudcast is live, what's going on here? What is this game? What is this from?
Oh, I think it's Call of Duty. One of the Call of Duty.
Oh, there's
games.
some guy just puts
Probably
on his-
Black Ops.
Some guy just puts on his shades and goes to work. All right. Mike Testa. He's back. Barbarous.
Oh God,
No. Keep that shit out of here, please, okay?
What the fuck?
What is Barbara?
this?
That has nothing to do, Mike, that has nothing to do with the stream or anything.
That is fucking tasty.
This is
Okay,
fucking
before we-
disgusting. This is
Before we
just
keep going with-
disgusting.
All right. Back to Eric. Teacher, you were
No, we're
supposed
not
to
gonna
write
talk
about
about that.
tragedies. Me, yes. Teacher, who is Darth Plagueis? Oh, God. Eric again. Vader's tie.
Oh, God.
Ha ha.
And yeah, apparently that was a tie advanced. I was just more familiar with the later versions.
Yeah.
That's all.
How do you
No,
tie a tie advance?
Yeah. Speaking of ties, it's like I actually did find a video like explaining these kind of sorta not really controversy that happened with the tie dagger, like the actual fan art versus the Rise of Skywalker version. It's
Okay.
like 7 minutes long. It's just watch it through, not even just like pause in between like usual.
Yeah, just send it to me.
Just for the sake of like the context of what happened with that little situation.
You could link it in the comments if you want people to watch it. That's fine. I have nothing against that.
Oh, okay. No.
Well, we're just gonna watch a video. Just watch the video. Link it. If we're not gonna comment or pause, it's not really part of this podcast. So anyway,
I mean, you're-
howdy, Eric here.
Yeah.
Just to say, I thought it was a white guy talking on the video. Wow.
Pretty much. In the inside, he is probably white.
He was slurring his words a bit, I guess, but he sounded like he knew what he was talking about, which I appreciated. Like, he wasn't like off kilter. He wasn't sounding weird. So that was good. Okay. The First Order seeing the galaxy and the New Republic disbanding the Rebel Alliance. It's free.
It's for your state.
Yeah. Luke, I am your cat? No? What? What is this? Damon, what is
What?
this? Luke, I am your cat. Okay, whatever. Eric again. I'm sure it's for a fun joke, but thought would share. Why I lied to my girlfriend about going to Thailand?
Okay.
We should do a Smudcast watching this video. It would be funny.
Well, we aren't really judging the guy about his character.
I mean, if you have a girlfriend and you're going places without her, it better be for business, because that's not nice.
Now I want to know why he lied.
Yeah, I know. I think girls like to travel with their boyfriends, just to say, it's kind of their thing. Anyway.
Yeah, it is a tight message.
All right, yeah, yeah, that's fine. The supremacy. Oh God, this giant boomerang thing. 60 by 13 by 4 sorry, 60 by 13 by 4 kilometers. 2.23 million people. 8 Star Destroyers, 2 docked in It has 8 Star Destroyers inside it. And 3 TIE fighters. What?
No, it has. I think it means it has eight Star Destroyers escorting it, and 2 are docked.
2 docked.
Oh,
I like how it can only have 3 TIE fighters, because it was only showing 3 in the movie. Yeah.
It can only launch 3 at a time. It has several million on board, but it can only launch 3 at a time.
yeah.
Of course, yeah.
It's a special ship.
This ship is so dumb.
It's a party ship.
Why is it wide? Why is it not long? The Super Star Destroyers were long. This is wide. This is so stupid to move. Like, imagine you have the side engines have a malfunction. It tears the ship apart.
Look at the quote behind on below the stats.
Right. This is the idea behind the Republic disbanding their military.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a military fight to fight this, right?
Yeah. How long does it take to build this shit? Oh, the Republic never heard of this?
Nope, they just forgot about it.
There must be thousands of Star Destroyers out there still.
Wait, did he make another video? Why demilitarization isn't a bad idea? Wait, what?
No, it's our video.
No, it's just Eric. It's just Eric doing a meme.
No. It's
Okay.
I think you wanted to say something else.
All right, so here's the
I forgot his actual words.
If you buy the technical book on Star Wars when episode 7 and 8 came out, I think this was it. It had the cross section of all these things. Oh my God, this is gigantic.
The Star Destroyer is a massive pizza, and the Supremacy is a massive croissant.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh wow, it's 3 times the size of a Super Star Destroyer. Amazing.
Hmm.
Who needs that?
19 kilometers. Jesus, executors are What are you doing with 19 kilometers of ship size? What's going on?
Well, it's ultimate planet reinforcement.
That's crazy. All right, Mike Testa. No, Mike, no. Okay. I think, Mike. I think if you resign yourself just to making memes, I think your craziness is a little more controlled, as opposed to giving like hundreds of dollars with crazy chats no one understands.
Yeah, Smut will only buy steak and whiskey with it anyway.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get drunk and eat lots of beef. So at least you can use your creativity for different reasons. So that might be better for you. I have no idea. Anyway, whew, that wasn't so bad. Just sort of logically, not missing logic, just sort of not connecting the dots for me. And I'm like, he could say anything, and I'm just like, I don't know where you're coming from. I don't know where you're going. Where you got
honestly,
this.
most of our confusion is because TFAs are husk. They have nothing to explore.
Yeah, there's so many questions it could raise, but I don't think that was the intent of the show or the director or the writing. It's just when your mind wanders, like, how is this even possible? How did this come about? Where did this come from? Why is the galaxy the way it is? There's all these opened up questions that I don't think JJ even
And
considered.
you open up, the mystery box, and it is empty. There's
I think
nothing there.
it's worse than just having his philosophy of what it is. I think it's the lack of an editor and the lack of people to give him feedback about, wait a second, you're doing what in space? Okay, after 40 years, is that even
I
possible?
think it's probably a combination of both. A lack of editor and a lack of his philosophy.
Well,
of
you
the
need
mystery box.
editors in all these science fiction stories. Doesn't matter if it's a movie or a book. Like, this is just so over the top big that you have to, like, okay, explains. Just give me a 20-second explanation that is so broad that it goes, okay, I guess that's why the Republic sucks now. Like, you'd have to make a really good statement out of that, but you wouldn't have to waste too much time. I would prefer a nice 10-minute monologue or dialogue with a bunch of people of the problems of politics in the past 40 years. That would be very helpful, just to wrap my brain around the setting and where everyone is and why, I don't know, why Leia and Han are just not seeing eye to eye anymore. Like, it's just all this stuff is just up in the air. Like, I don't know how this got there. So
I found the TIE Fighter I mixed this up with. Maybe there was a translation error in the German version of the TIE Fighter game. Apparently the one I thought it was is the TIE Avenger. That has completely different wings. That was all my mistake.
Yeah, I don't remember that in the TIE Fighter games. I played that back in the day, and I do remember the Interceptor. A few missions with that. There was the TIE Advanced you did get to use, and there was some new one that near the end of the game they gave you.
The Defender you got at the end. That's the one with the 3 weird wings.
Oh, okay.
Man. I just remember the names because of the Lego games with the space sections.
All right. Well, that was, not very painful. It was just weird and just a lack of information that we didn't like or appreciate, rather. So, thanks, guys, for the recommendations. Keep them coming. That was, easy to take. I liked it a lot better than I thought, because we usually cover really stupid, crazy ones, but this was just lacking some reason and references and a little bit of understanding of what the hell a soft sci-fi space opera movie that had no concern for filler or backstory or explaining anything of the state of the galaxy. And that's just J.J. Abrams for you.
It was a good discussion.
Yeah, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. I'm surprised we didn't get Shiny on here, but he's busy doing his own stuff, so that's totally cool. Anyway, thank you so much. Talk to you guys real soon. Have yourself a great evening, and bye-bye.